for the betterment of this country was only for us to be on an equal footing with our white counterparts, to get the same opportunities. Today, I'm an attorney. Years ago, my mom would not have had the same opportunities that I've had in terms of educational exposure and that sort of thing. And I think what ought to have happened was for black people to be empowered in order for all those rights, all those benefits, all those privileges that they've gained in power to filter down to the grassroots level. Unfortunately, from what I've seen and what's being portrayed in the media is that elitist black community growing and them holding on to all those privileges that we've empowered them with. They are not sharing it with us. Instead, they are oppressing us, but in a different way. So we feel trapped because we owe them our freedom per se, because they're people who are in the forefront of the struggle, but they're not helping us in any way. So there's this pent-up frustration among South Africans because of what's happening currently.
And Donald, you call yourself African.
That's right.
What makes you African?
Well, I think by virtue of me being an individual who was born in the continent of Africa and having been actually exposed to African culture and as well as everything African, if I can put it that way, that basically makes me African.
Okay, so anyone born in Africa is an African.
That's right.
So to you, there is a connection between identity and place of birth.
Well, to a certain extent, there is actually a connection between identity and place of birth. Why? Because now, once you are born in Africa, and then you begin to embrace everything that Africa has to offer you, the values which are African, the cultures which are also African, then essentially you begin to identify yourself as an African. So yes, if you are actually born in Africa, all right, then your identity should definitely be African.
Were you born free, or you were born before? Because she's talking about a lot of things: white privilege, black disadvantage, and the world that she sees is qualified because of a white factor. Do you have any personal experience, recollection, or of this white elephant in the room?
Well, okay, just to answer your first question as to whether I was born free, yes, I was actually born free in the context of independence, all right? Now, when we talk about independence in this context, we're talking about our liberalization from white rule, from colonialism. Then for the fact that I was actually born in a country which had actually earned its independence from white rule, then yes, I consider myself a born free.
Okay, so you don't have any personal relationship with this white factor?
Okay, so now you see what happens now. For me, I believe as we are all Africans and everybody who's residing here in the continent of Africa, well, first and foremost, there is actually the issue of unity in order for us to progress as a race or as a continent for that matter.
Yeah.
All right? Because if I say race, it might disqualify somebody. So as a continent, we actually need to be united in order for us to progress. I'm actually one individual who's traveled the African continent quite extensively. I've been in direct interaction with different peoples from different nations. So the one thing which sort of sticks out in most of these countries where I've actually traveled is basically the fact that, people, in as much as one can still consider themselves as a born free in the context of independence, but sometimes we are actually not independent if we cannot realize our fullest potential.
Okay.
So in that sense, I believe there is still some form of mental sort of independence which we need to go through as Africans.
But in terms of this Africa that we see, you didn't choose to be born in Africa.
No, more than
it's given.
European. Yeah.
So you are in Africa now by choice. You could have been somewhere else.
Okay, after I actually got to a point where I realized, okay, so this is the continent I'm residing.
Yeah.
Yes, I mean, I could actually have relocated in that sense.
Yeah, you can't relocate, but just locate yourself.
Yes, that's right.
So you could have decided to call another place home.
Yes.
But you have chosen to be in Africa.
Absolutely.
But nobody has condemned you to be an African.
Nobody.
So you are here by choice. When you look up and say, look, I'm born here, this is what I call home, or my departure lounge. You know what a departure lounge is?
No.
It means you are born in a departure lounge and you die in a departure lounge. So we're just in transit.
True.
So this is your transit zone called Africa. Are you happy with what Africa is? If there was one thing you could change, what could that single thing be?
Okay, the one thing I would actually change about being African and based on my experiences, that would actually be, our reliance on foreign doctrines, on foreign ways of doing things. Basically, I'm talking about the way we do business. All right, the way we actually govern our countries, and there's actually so much, but then it all boils down to reliance, whereby we've now actually.
What is foreign? I'm just looking at this computer. It's called what?
It must be a Dell.
It's a Dell, and it's mine. It's not Dell anymore. I paid for it.
That's right.
So does it become foreign after I pay for it? Do you think it can be foreign from a legal point of view? Once title has passed the hands.
It was designed by
But
a foreign.
Is it foreign or just another device?
I think I agree with what Donald is saying.
Okay.
As much as we've declared ourselves independent from our colonizers, our buildings.
No, now you're saying our.
I'm talking from a South African perspective.
No, just talk about you.
Okay.
Do you have any experience of this collective prejudice? Because I'm saying foreign. Okay. I was just responding to the foreign. Yes, there is nothing foreign about you. Yes. If your watch, I can't say because you are wearing a watch that looks good, then it's a foreign watch.
Yes.
No. Well, because once you buy it, who does it become?
It becomes yours.
You have exchanged one value for another. So does it matter where the watch comes from?
I'm gonna address your other question with regard to being discriminated against or feeling inferior in a way. I think although in a South African context, although calling someone a kafir or using those derogatory terms is outlawed, there's more underhanded, more...
No, but if somebody calls you a kafir, does it change you?
It doesn't change, but when you look at the apartheid context...
No, I'm saying it's just 23 years into democracy.
Yes.
Somebody calls you a monkey. Do you become a monkey?
If somebody calls me a monkey today, it wouldn't hurt as much as...
No, even then, you call me a monkey, does it affect you?
It does affect me if you treat me like a monkey.
Yeah, then you box me.
And then I'll go to jail.
No, but I'm saying is, why would I be affected by a barking dog?
But it also depends on your confidence levels and your
but would you change who you are? If you are on a journey of life, would that change?
It would affect me negatively.
Oh, so you become a...
I'll give an example. Like
Yeah.
what I was saying, although we are not, in the apartheid context, they would say, this bus is only for white people.
Okay.
This bathroom can only be
But
used by whites and that sort of thing. Those things have been done away with. We have access to the same opportunities as white people.
Okay.
If not more so through affirmative action. But if you go into the workplace, I'll give you an example. As a candidate attorney, me and my black colleague had to work twice as hard as our white colleague.
How did you measure that?
Because we'd come into work on time or earlier than our white
So you
colleagues.
were measuring, you were making sure that you are the only ones early.
We had we had to do that to make a mark.
I
We had to
see.
do that to be recognized. We
But
had
if
to
I
do
come
that-
late and I think fast,
If you come late, by virtue of being a black person, you'll be in trouble.
I
That's
see.
been my experience.
Okay.
Yes.
So you're saying there is
So
real...
although they can't outright discriminate, it's prevalent in the opportunities that we get.
Okay.
My first case was a dog bite case, whereas my white counterpart had something more interesting, something more challenging.
So you...
It would be things like running errands for our principal.
So who was suing? The dog was suing somebody?
No, it was actually one of his friends' PAs. I took the case and I ran with it because I've always been very passionate about the law.
Okay.
But we were not being paid.
But there's no
the
white
same.
law, is it?
No, there's no white law.
Oh, there's some
Yes,
textbooks.
It's the same textbook.
Same-
And we were not being paid the same as our white counterparts.
Okay, but did you want to be
We
paid
were
the
not
same?
yes, because we
Where
were
is
doing the
that
same
world
kind of
where
work.
there's...
We were all candidate attorneys.
Yeah.
You have to pay people on the same level, the same amount.
Okay.
It was also the little things like us calling them Mr. So-and-so.
Oh, okay.
And our white
Candidate.
colleagues calling them by
Okay.
name.
But that affected you psychologically.
In a way, it was discouraging because...
Okay, so it's just discouraging.
It was discouraging, but
A
because
nuisance.
I knew my end goal, because I knew I wanted to
Now
be
you are an attorney.
as a lawyer.
And with that, even with that discrimination,
Yes.
you became a lawyer.
Yes,
So-
but it's not easy. It just makes the work
The world, yeah,
the work environment
much more.
a little bit more.
In fact, we're
difficult to
talking about this idea of foreign,
Okay.
and I was trying to get this notion out there
Yes.
that to be African, it doesn't mean you don't have to wear expensive watches or clothes. You don't have to use equipment that is produced outside Africa.
Yes.
So if you pay for the equipment, it becomes yours. It doesn't become foreign. Because we have this idea that foreign, we want things, our own thing, our own bank, our own this. When that is irrelevant, we should be looking at maybe it's different thing than what we are focusing on. Do you think it would be an Africa of your dreams if we were focusing on the identity of the person who provides the goods that we use for our own sustenance or our own livelihood?
Well, I think for starters, we should definitely not, align our identity, with the produce of the goods that we use. All right.
Yeah.
Why? Simply because, in as much as there's actually been an influx of foreign produced, products. All right. And we are saying we could actually still, as Africans, be able to empower ourselves and be able to produce our own goods locally. All right. So why is this computer that you have in front of you right now? Why is it a project that was actually imported?
Yeah.
All right. So why not manufacture and produce one locally? All right. Because at the end of the day, all right, it is still going to serve the very same purpose.
Yeah.
So I think as Africans, what we actually need to do is to begin to embrace, all right, number one, our own methods of doing things, all right, because I believe we've got the right resources, all right, who can actually go into manufacturing, not just computers. We're talking about cars. I think there was actually one country, they've got their own model of a car right now. If it wasn't Uganda, I think. Yeah, I think it was actually Uganda. Now they are able to manufacture their own car locally, all right? So now if you look at this car, when I saw the images, they actually have got an SUV, which looks almost like, the Infinity SUV, all right?
Yeah.
But then we're talking about a car which has actually been manufactured in Uganda.
Yeah.
So now the problem now is we still have Africans today who would rather buy an Infinity car, all right, a model which has actually been manufactured abroad, overseas, and overlook this one particular model which is being manufactured.
Do you think we should get involved in people's wallets? What they choose? If I got enough money, whether I keep it in a bank, I convert it into an Infinity, should that be?
But I think it's a perception issue, because if you look back at colonialism, you have the colonialists arriving in Africa and saying, your way of doing things is wrong.
No, yeah.
Your way of thinking is wrong.
But in your experience, has this colonialist ever stopped you from making your choices? Imagine what you are wearing is your choice, is it?
It's my choice, but I wasn't really given a choice.
No, I'm saying
it's
is,
all been a
no, I'm saying for you to acquire this and to wear it, it means you have transferred title, is it?
Yes.
Before it became on your body, it was somebody else's property, is it?
Yes.
Yeah. So you exchanged something to get it. And you voluntarily offered something in return for what? For what you have. So there was an exchange. Not colonialism. Yeah. Exchange between equals. Because you could have just decided not to buy. But you can't buy then call what you're wearing foreign. When you have voluntarily participated in foreignizing you, if you have a new word.
But I disagree with you to some extent, because I think we usually condition ourselves according to what we are exposed to. There's this perception that foreign brands, foreign products are better.
But we're talking just about you.
Yes,
what you are wearing.
Me,
yeah,
I'm wearing,
you made a choice. You made, and do you allow us to make also choices? If I want to buy Infinity or Gucci
I'm wearing
no, I'm saying that's your choice. But if you can make a choice, can you also allow us to make choices? Because the value that I exchange is the value that I get. But if you can make a choice,
that's right. But then I think the problem now is, okay, at what point do we consider one to have a choice? There must be an option, right?
That I get.
So she's probably putting on that poncho. Do you call it a poncho?
Yeah.
So she's putting on that poncho.
It's very traditional. This is African. No, I don't think so.
So anyway, the bottom line is that okay, one of the reasons why she's probably
it's very
putting on
traditional.
that
This is African. Please, can you put it in vernacular? What is it?
I know in Lesotho, they've got a version of that.
No, but what is it? You speak Sotho. Chivenda. Oh, in Chivenda, there's something like that. No. So that's foreign.
But anyway, the very fact that she was not presented with an option, all right, she was almost like,
So that's foreign.
Your decision to buy this was one-sided. There was nothing to compare it to.
No, I'm saying is we're just trying to demonstrate this kind of Africa we're trying to run away from. Right. They may have been colonizers, but this is 2017. It's not 1873. I'm saying is we are in 27. We are talking here about the Africa we want, not the things that we don't want. We want freedom. People to make choices. If they choose to buy foreign, whatever you classify as foreign goods, that's their choice. We want freedom. They have worked hard for it. And if we want a free Africa, should it be a matter of our concern?
Absolutely.
Who are we when we exercise that concern? what would be our station in life? As who? If somebody is driving a helicopter and I am walking, does it affect me?
No, it doesn't.
Yeah, so get your helicopter, get faster. But you can't cheat death even after you arrive. Does it affect me? So why should I worry? That's the essence of the article that we're looking at.
Yes.
Can brand ambassadors, not that we don't want other ambassadors, let's learn from other people. And let's embrace technology. Let's leapfrog. Let's not remain outside barking and say we want an African car. Then what? Eh? The car is just a means to move me from point A to point B. I can do the same with a donkey, with a horse, with a bicycle, with a tricycle, with a car, whatever it is. But if I don't have a point B to go to, do I need a car? Yeah, I don't have an obligation. Whatever it is.
But I disagree with you.
Which is okay. If
I
I don't have a
do
point B to
because
go to, do I need a car?
I honestly feel that why I keep going back to colonialism and apartheid
Okay.
is because those things, those regimes, those times
Yeah.
were quite extensive and had a huge impact on all of us, all Africans.
Mm-hmm.
To a point where it's like running a race, being 10 meters behind the starting
No, but
line. When everybody starts running forward, you don't have a fighting chance. Yes, there's already technology, there's laptops, there's cars, but who's to say that we Africans can't make a better laptop than what Dell's provides?
No, but nobody stops you. But don't buy a Dell, call it a foreign thing. Because it's yours. It was Dell when it was manufactured. No, but nobody stops you. But don't buy when it's in your possession, is it Dell? It's just a computer.
Well, now it becomes a personal property.
Yeah, it's for personal property. If it's stolen, who goes to the police to report?
Is it Dell?
Yeah.
But in as much as it is that way, right? In as much as we obviously want to promote, the concept of African ambassador,
Yeah.
right? Yeah. Now, if I am going to now walk around with a Dell computer, which has been manufactured in the USA, all right, what does that say about me being?
It says I'm a better African, because my focus is not computers. My focus is now on Mobicash. And my focus on something else. But doesn't mean the equipment, this big gadget that we will see, it has to be made in Africa. No. But the intellectual property can be African. The marketing, the branding, the other things can be African. It doesn't mean I have to wear African attire for me to be African. No. Doesn't mean I have to drive what? It doesn't mean is it God's car? What is God's car? For me to be African. What is God's car? Doesn't mean I have to drive. It's your legs. It can take you to point B.
I hear what you're your legs. But even with that in mind,
It can take you to point B.
stop striving towards having our own.
No, we don't have to. I don't have to be a lawyer when you are one. It means I can focus on other things so that I can pay you. Imagine we're all lawyers. No, we don't. Would it be desirable? I don't have to be a lawyer when you are one. If we're all doctors, I can focus on would it be desirable? So that I can pay you. No, it won't be desirable. Would it be desirable? Yeah. So it's good that we're diverse. It's good that we're different. And it's good that we're what we call foreigners. Because without them, what would we do? But if you've provided a solution, imagine are you on Facebook? Yeah, what is it? It's a book of faces. What would you do? But if does it matter? It's your face, is it? Yeah. Is it a foreign face? Yeah. So it's just a platform. Yeah, to connect people. And when you're connected, it's what you do with the connection. Isn't that what should matter? But right now, what matters? I want to build my own Facebook. To do what? I want my own Twitter. Use it. Create your own communities. Make a difference so that we can all help each other. So we don't want to use the rear view mirror. We want Africa to go forward. And we are the people who can take Africa where it should be. Because that's what we are talking about. But imagine we spend our time talking about white. Do you think white people are talking about us? No. Are they talking at their dinner table? Maybe they'll be talking and say we are monkeys, but who cares? It doesn't make me a monkey because they're talking about me. Yeah. So should that worry you? No, you got extra time to worry. Donald, do you have time to worry? No. But irrelevant. Those who don't like you, they can get over it. But do you have to invest in people saying, please like me? Those who don't like you, they can get over it. Okay, so if it makes sense, how we go to Donald? You were threatening something and saying you have some answers that are uniquely African. I hope you won't say that. They are Zimbabwean solutions. Because Africa is a complex continent. You know, it's got 54 characters calling themselves presidents. And now you're saying you want one Africa. So we can't speak on behalf of Africa. There are different countries. And there are people who are there who elect their own office bearers. Then they would like to be Sudanese, South Sudan, North Sudan, whatever it is. Yeah, Nigeria. People are still struggling to find that identity. South Africa, the same thing. Yeah, we're going to have elections very soon in ANC, and in 2 years' time, you have elections, national elections. Yeah. So it's contested. Even in South Africa, there are people who call themselves what? One tribe, the other tribe. Yeah. So we need to be able to what? To find a balance. So you were talking about the Africa you want in this space of the payment systems. What is it that you see as a fundamental problem? Because do you agree that the relationship between blacks and money sometimes is challenging? You see as a fundamental problem. Yeah. Because do you agree that the relationship between blacks and money sometimes is challenging? No, debt is no. When you have debt, you have a relationship. But you
have a bad relationship with money.
But some just don't have it. Some they wake up in the morning and they sleep, and there's no one to invoice. Some just don't have it. No, that's when they have it.
When they have it.
But the biggest problem in Africa is people just don't have it. Don't have the relationship. And they don't know the next station where they can establish some relationship with money. Now we are talking not about those people. I think, Donald, you're talking about what? The people with money. How do they manage it? How do they transact? Is it? Yeah. So when you look at Africa, are you satisfied with the African experience in terms of this relationship with money? Those who have it, whether it's small quantities or big quantities. With the African experience.
Okay, so just going back to the point you mentioned earlier, somebody who's actually traveled quite a lot around Africa, I've had to engage different people right, from different walks of life, all right? Now, my primary reason basically for visiting abroad, it has always been, to promote financial inclusion initiatives, all right? Whereby, first and foremost, as you've rightly observed, to say, we've got people with money and then people without the money, all right? But there is obviously a certain relationship that needs to be addressed between, in your words, black people and money. So one of our key endeavors, basically what we try to put forward, is to enable, all right, people who are considered to be to belong at the bottom of pyramid, which I believe is a term which was coined from the diaspora, right? After somebody had actually observed, the type of ecosystems that we get to engage in here in Africa. So now our main focus has always been on what's called the bottom of pyramid or the lower LSM people. We're talking about people who actually live on less than $1 a day, all right? So now our focus for that is not necessarily to provide any form of funding to them, but financial inclusion in its sense is to basically enable them to have access to affordable financial services.
Okay.
You therefore notice that the way most of these institutions are structured, there's that problem which actually arises, in terms of going to market, all right? So most banks, I'm just going to use the example of banks since I'm in the payments industry. So you therefore notice that most banks would actually forego setting up a branch, all right, in one particular location. Why? Simply because that area is deemed to be having people of lower incomes, all right? So while it actually makes business sense for the bank, we therefore now find ourselves in a situation whereby there is just too much money, all right, within the banking system, but then this money is actually held as a liquid asset of the bank, but the root transactions now are actually happening at what's being referred to as the bottom of pyramid. So what MobiCash does, a company such as MobiCash, we've got this device here which we just mentioned on right now. So this device is essentially called a bank in a box. Now with this device we are able to take banking services beyond where the road would otherwise stop for the bank. So in situations whereby there is a need for financial services, based on the populations who are there, now the bank is not able to use its own existing infrastructure, because one report which I actually read said that it costs on average $500,000 for a bank to actually set up a new branch altogether, right? So we are saying sometimes, yes, it does not necessarily make economical sense, all right? It is not a viable solution for a bank to set up a branch in a location where the population is there. They basically do not meet the threshold which the banks is looking out for, all right? So now, what are we going to do about that situation? Are we now going to leave these people, at the mercy of NGOs or whoever is available to provide any form of services to them, or can we actually bring banking services to them, all right? So what financial inclusion therefore does for these people is to actually now make sure that we create and then we promote enough infrastructure, and this infrastructure in often terms, all right, in often cases, in the case of financial inclusion, the infrastructure comes in the form of creating a sustainable agents network, whereby we are now empowering certain individuals to actually now come on board on the financial inclusion initiative as an agent. So in that way, they're actually now able to provide direct financial services to their populations. So we are also, so financial inclusion on its own sometimes is actually not enough, because this tool, while we can say, okay, now somebody can now have easy access to financial services, but then there is also the issue of affordability, all right? These goods and services which we're providing to these people, they need to be very much affordable. They need to be competitive, all right? It has to be somebody which we are saying, okay, if they're living on less than $1 a day, so what type of services are actually going to be customized, all right, to make them more appealing to the bottom of pyramid? So we are saying now a company such as Coca-Cola, for example, would actually not cut its price in half simply because they want this product to be sold within poor communities, all right? But we are saying financial inclusion on its own is not able to fully cut it. So what do? We now include a layer of inclusive business onto financial inclusion, whereby now through inclusive business, we've got different companies and corporations who actually now come on board, and then they can now begin to work with the communities, whereby they can actually set up partnerships and business relationships, sorry, and to convert some of these locals into distributors, into retailers, into agents, or even into customers, all right? So once we've now, once we've reached that level of inclusive business, we are now saying not only have we enabled everybody to have access to banking services, now also we've introduced an element of mobile payment services, if I can put it that way. So you therefore now notice at the end of the day now, we are now making sure that the goods which are being sold in the poor communities are actually priced at the same levels as you would otherwise find in the urban centers. How do we do that? Through inclusive business, whereby we now involve the actors, all right, who are already operating and are based in the informal settlements, such as townships, most townships, or even the rural areas, all right? So this is what MobiCash essentially does, in terms of addressing financial inclusion through inclusive business.
Okay, so do you comprehend?
Yes, definitely.
Okay, so we're looking at financial services, looking at transactions. And if you look at the basket of money that remains in banks because of the brick and mortar, in terms of service fees, because anything you do, you go to an ATM, you get charged. You get charged for this. That money you've worked for, it remains trapped in the banking system. So if I deposit 100 rand, and at the end of the year, would it still be 100 rand? It would then be consumed. So when you look at Africa in terms of these soldiers who are trying to keep money with the working people, with the struggling masses, do you see yourself as part of this movement, banking?
Well, I definitely am keen and very passionate about this MobiCash project.
Okay.
Because I feel that ignorance is not always bliss, and I feel that the township communities, these so-called low-income consumers, would deal with money better if they given the right tools and knowledge. And I think this process and this device is very empowering because, one, it will bring communities together, and two, they'll also be learning how to use money more wisely. Because I think we in a consumer-driven society, and we spend so much of the money, of the little money that we have, not understanding how we can generate more income from the money, and how we can also run businesses with it. So I think this is very cutting edge. I think it's also very user friendly, and I think the more the communities buy into it, the more we can start shaping the Africa that we truly want.
Do you think money is important in the affairs of men, including women?
Definitely.
Okay.
Definitely. The saying "money makes the world go round" is what it is for a reason, because we have to buy, we have to pay for things almost on a daily basis.
They say that if you're an ugly man with money,
Of which I'm not.
no, with money you become what?
You become handsome.
That's true. No, it's definitely true.
So money makes things transform.
Yes.
Even your identity changes.
No, definitely.
So if you look up and say, oh, I'm looking at Africa at midnight, it's too dark. I'm just looking at 3 people who inspire me in the money game. Do you see anybody? And so those are the stars.
I have a lot of respect for Patrice Motsepe.
Okay, Patrice. Because he's a lawyer. By training.
Yes.
Okay. Not because of Sundowns. Okay, number 1, Patrice. No, you don't have to say anything more.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's the end of the show.
No. We need 2 more names.
Wendy Luhave.
Okay.
Because she's a...
No, you don't. The deputy president?
Yes.
Ah, okay, so you're going to vote for him?
No.
Okay. So he inspires you. Because he's deputy president?
Inspired me.
Oh, before he...
Before he became the deputy president.
Oh,
but from a business perspective, like I think...
But now that he's
made a lot of strides.
Ah, okay.
And also because he's from the same tribe as me.
I see. So this is a tribalism.
So, no, it's not tribe. He's putting my people on the map. So.
Okay. That is if he
From a
becomes
business-
president.
But
But
now
now, now there are women also trying to get him out of a job.
yeah, no.
Okay.
That's very
That's a very good. Okay. So there are three. When was Patrice born?
Sure, I don't know.
Okay. When was Wendy born?
I have no clue.
When was Cyril born?
I don't know. I just
But they inspire you.
Well, they inspire
Does
me.
Jesus inspire you?
Oh no, that's a very touchy subject.
Even your identity changes.
Ooh, it's getting hot in here. Okay, yeah, well, yeah, Jesus inspires me.
But
I don't know when-
his birthday.
No, Christmas Day is not his birthday.
Okay. But there's a day dedicated for him.
I didn't know. Well, okay, I might not know all the intricate details about those people, but from a business perspective, you know, they all come from very humble backgrounds. You know, they're people who
Training.
made something from nothing, so to speak.
But at least you don't know their birthdays. That's what we wanted
I
to
don't
establish.
need to know their birthdays.
No. Birthday is just to celebrate someone's life.
Yes.
So in a year, you only celebrate your birthday.
No, close family.
Ah, okay.
friends,
And those who inspire you, just to use their birthdays to say, let's salute Wendy Luhabe
Yes.
because of who she is, what she has done to make us have hope,
Yes.
to aspire to be somebody.
True.
But we don't have that.
We don't, yeah, it's true.
And it starts with us.
True.
So some of us don't celebrate these things because actually it doesn't make a difference. But imagine you celebrated Patrice as a lawyer, that you don't have to end up in courtrooms.
Yes.
You can also be a different player. And he's actually telling us, for those who want to do entrepreneurship, that you don't have to go to a classroom and say, I'm an entrepreneur. How many people are going to do masters, PhDs in entrepreneurship, but never can see the money in their lives? So when we are looking at money and men on this show, we are trying to investigate the Africa I want. Is it in Africa where the relationship between men and money is improved? Where the management of money is actually enriched? Where the transactions between people, they can take place without paying huge fees? And how best do we create this Africa that is connected, that can transact efficiently, effectively, conveniently? Where do we go? So when we look up, sometimes the people we look up to have no time to look down, to see who is down looking up. I see those. How do you connect these two? How best do you think this Africa we are talking about? Because you may think they're African, I look up to them, only to discover when you say, hey, can I talk to you? And can I get your number? They don't give you a number.
Yes.
Yeah? And you are so much looking up to these people. Yeah. So in Africa, do we have this address where role models reside and where we can touch and feel them and talk to them and celebrate their birthday and say, Mr. Patrice, I just thought with my friends, we want to celebrate your birthday. And in your birthday, we want to reflect on the things that we have not done, not what they've done to us, but the things that we can do ourselves. So we can begin to talk about this gadget and say, is it foreign? Does it look foreign? But it's a friend of Donald. Is it your friend? You brought it. Who brought it? You did. But is it foreign?
No, it looks African.
No, it doesn't.
You know, us Africans like bright colors.
Oh. I think you're talking about without the Limpopo, who are you? If we take out the Limpopo River, what is she? So you see, so does it look foreign? Donald, tell us.
Oh, yeah, I mean, it's actually a foreign, well, the shell is very much foreign, but the software running behind it, of which the software is what gives its use and purpose. So that software is very much a homegrown solution. It's African. So I can actually go ahead and identify this gadget as African.
Okay, so it's African because you've chosen to put value into it.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah. So there is nothing foreign. But this device can be your branch. Is that what you're saying?
That's right.
Which means I don't have to go to the bank itself. I can empower people. I can enable them. In a rural area, I can be able to work on it and get money and do the transactions that cannot be done without the legs of the bank. Because what you said is the bank has no wheels, has no legs, has no motion. But we are now taking the bank to the people, which is democratizing this promise. And then we don't have a mechanism to do that. So which TV station can you go to learn about democracy at work?
1873 TV.
Where did you come from? Okay, so we are going to give ourselves an award. That we have converted the lawyer into literacy. Do you think literacy is part of the problem that confronts us when we talk about financial exclusion? That actually knowledge itself can be the deciding factor to inclusion?
Yes, well, absolutely. All right. But then now, knowledge on its own, it actually needs to be supported by certain mechanisms. All right. Because knowledge and intelligence are different. You can actually, teach and show ways, methods, to a 90-year-old grandmother to actually, transact and save money, right? Now, in the same way, you could actually do so again, with somebody who is learned, they've got PhDs and so on and so forth. Now, it doesn't necessarily mean that if you've got PhDs or quite a number of degrees to your name, now automatically you are financially literate, all right? We've got so many learned people who today find themselves in serious and heavy debt, all right? So that relationship that was touched on earlier on between the black man and money, it's actually a bad relationship for this type of person. But yes, they are very much intelligent, all right? So now when we start talking about our financial literacy, it is not about savings, it is not about spending, all right? It is basically a culture of ownership, all right? When you've got your money, it doesn't matter whether you've got $50 or you've got $1 million, all right? Because now, under this fiat system where we operate under, all right, it doesn't matter, money in a pauper's hand and money in a millionaire's hand is still legal tender anyway. But it boils down to their understanding of what I can do actually with this money, you see? Because with $50, you can actually change somebody else's life.
Sure.
And then again, now if you take away $1 million from somebody, you can actually ruin somebody else's life. All right. So financial literacy is actually now creating this bridge, all right, between our consumption habits, all right, everything that we know about money, all right, and actually the way we relate to money, whether cash in hand, cash at bank, all right, regardless of how much sum that we're looking into, but it actually boils down to now, instilling this method of actually understanding what to do with it. So for me, that is what financial literacy is all about. Right? Financial literacy is not going to turn into a millionaire. Financial literacy is not going to put $1 million into your bank account. And financial literacy is not necessarily going to take away that $1 million from you. But financial literacy is to enable you to know what to do with or without that $1 million.
Okay. And do you think literacy is the elephant in the room, or illiteracy? Somebody says ignorance and prejudice are friends.
I think financial illiteracy is the problem.
Okay.
Because, like Donald is saying, it's not about having formal education. You'll find somebody who doesn't have a university degree treating their relationship with money better than someone else who's very well educated. Empowerment comes with knowledge, and that's not something you have to learn in a classroom environment. It's basically making informed decisions, and you can only make an informed decision once all the information that you need has been imparted to you. So it's having that money, like he's saying, whether you have the money or not, but understanding what to do with it. That's leverage over your peers or your neighbors or whoever else that you interact with.
So when we talk about this black-white structure, do you think whites have a better relationship with money?
I think so, because they've always had more than we
And
to begin with.
And what do you think is this connection between whites and money? Is it hereditary? Is it just skin color related, or is it skin deep?
No, it's actually hereditary.
Oh, it's hereditary.
Well, I think it's how we've been conditioned as people. You'll find.
I know any air conditioner.
No. you find that a white person. I'll give you an example with the Jewish community.
Okay.
I used to
Oh, you were once Jewish?
No. I used to work with Jews. You'll find that a Jewish person would rather invest in a home and drive a cheap car versus a black person who, from their first job, first salary, buy an expensive car they can't afford while living at home.
Is it okay to generalize?
Or while living... No.
Do all Jews have...
That's why I'm saying I'm sharing my own personal experiences.
Yeah.
To say
But that's what you believe.
My interaction with the Jewish community.
And who are these Jews? What do they look like?
Well, they wear, I don't know what they call.
Oh, so if I wear them, then I go a PIN number to the bank.
Okay, wait, like I'm saying, perception comes from what you've seen and what you've experienced.
Okay.
So I'm not saying all Jews are like this or all blacks are like that.
Okay.
But
at least we're getting somewhere.
Yes, you find what I'm saying is from what I've seen with the Jewish community that I worked with, they would rather spend money on assets, on
but is it
acquiring properties, on.
But is it Jewish or is just human nature that we want to preserve for future? We want to put money into assets so that we can realize the assets later. That life itself is perishable. But if I take value and I preserve it, that value can be in form of something. This is what is this? It's not a mouse. It's cash in form of a mouse. Because a mouse is the one that you see walking with 4 legs. They call it mice. Yeah. So money in motion does not come from heaven. It comes from somewhere. So you preserve it in goods, you preserve it in stomach, because the body also needs fuel. A car needs fuel. So you can't say I've got a car, but I have no fuel. Is this still a car?
Well, it's still a car.
It's just an object.
No, it's still a car.
What is a car?
It might not be able to perform what.
No, oh, okay. No,
It doesn't have fuel, but it doesn't change the
no, I think,
the car.
okay.
It's like a phone time.
It's like some men who are not men. What are you saying? Oh, some women who are not women. Okay, so what we're talking about is value. We're saying, look, the world is not white or black.
Yes, true.
There's no black value. There's no Jewish value.
Yes,
Yeah.
right.
And there is no Jewish mind. I don't think it exists. What exists are people who practice faith. But they have 2 legs like us. No, they don't have 3 eyes. Yeah. So what makes them superior or even have a special relationship with money? Huh? Is there an address where we can go to where we can marry people with money?
No, there's no such.
So I think we come into the last segment of our show, and there are people following, and there are people who are saying, "Oh, okay, who is that? What is Donald trying to sell us? A black man with a yellow object." And he said, "This is a bank. Do you believe that?" Bank in a box. Yeah?
Are we still live?
Yeah, we're still live. So, yeah. Okay, so I think you can give the last words for the show. What would you like to tell the viewers out there?
I think the MobiCash device, the whole process is going to put Africa on the map.
Okay.
I think everyone should just look out for it. Whichever country you're from, whatever jurisdiction, buy into it, look into it, do your research. It will really help you wherever you're based. And I'm really looking forward to working with Donald and his team here in South Africa and helping all the communities.
So I believe you are joining MobiCash.
Yes.
As what are you going to be doing?
I'll be joining as a consultant.
Okay. Consultants are dangerous people because they don't have any ownership.
Maybe along the way I'll get a stake.
Oh no, you don't need a stake, just to be part of MobiCash, not to consult.
Yes.
So you just want to be outside, looking inside.
No, I'll be getting involved. May I talk about the Mobi's Plaza?
Yeah.
Mobi's Plaza is one of the initiatives that we'll be working on.
Okay.
And it's to empower your small business owners, particularly people who own those plaza shops or your small retailers.
Mm-hmm.
And as somebody who grew up in the township, I can really identify with those communities.
Okay.
And I'm really looking forward to making an impact because I grew up buying food from this plaza. I still have friends and relatives.
So what is this solution?
Basically, it's allowing small business enterprises to have access to the same goods that the large retailers do, and having the same quality of goods, because you find people in the township having to travel distances to go and buy from the big retailers, only because the same goods are sold at a much more expensive or a higher price in the townships. And it obviously doesn't make sense to have to leave your neighbor or leave a place where you can have access to goods at a walking distance, only to spend more money on transport to have access to the same goods. So what Mobi's Plaza will be doing is partnering with corporates and allowing them to have access to their consumers, because majority of these consumers are based in those low income areas and they want the same quality goods, but because they don't have access to
so talk to me. I'm a Spaza owner.
Yes.
And what is this Mobi's Plaza? What is it?
Mobi's Plaza.
Okay. So now I'm a Somalian in a township, and you come to me, and you are talking to me. What are you saying to me?
Okay, so I'm saying to you, you're probably selling the products that somebody else can get at a bigger retailer.
Okay.
At a more expensive price.
Okay.
Not of your own accord,
Yeah.
because of circumstances.
Okay.
Now, if you enroll into the Mobi's Plaza enterprise.
So enrollment?
Yes.
So I fill a form?
You can
join
fill a form or do it online.
online. Yes.
Okay, so I do it online. So now I'm enrolled.
Yes.
Then what is the next step?
And it's one of the first things that we want to address, obviously, is the distribution.
Okay.
Right, within the value chain.
Mm.
So currently, you'd find out, most spazas are actually foregoing certain discounts or missing out on discounts. Why? Because they're buying individually, as opposed to now when they can actually buy collectively as a group. They can actually now earn some form of discount from the bigger wholesalers and suppliers.
Okay.
So there is actually a social network element to that, which now fits into bulk buying. All right. So what happens now is
So I buy like a big guy.
You now buy like a big guy. So you enjoy the very same discounts the other bigger retailers are currently enjoying.
Okay.
So what therefore happens in that case is the app is actually designed in such a way that we can actually create groups of up to 10 individual spazas. We actually now come together and then they are now able to buy for them.
But the e-commerce side, who operates it?
Okay, so now on the e-commerce, remember on the one side we've got a bank,
Mm.
right? So now on the banking side, it's actually an agnostic platform. It doesn't really matter which bank it is to provide us with a trust account, right? Now on
On the merchandising side.
yes, on the merchandising side. So what therefore happens now is we've got the different wholesalers who can actually get access to this application.
So
and then they populate, this application.
So you already have wholesalers in your Mobi's Plaza,
That's right.
and they will be able to offer the price.
Their products online, they advertise online.
Yeah.
And then we are actually going to create a complete e-commerce and m-commerce platform such that now the buyer is a spaza shop owner, right? He's actually able to place his order online and then he's able to also make a payment online using electronic value.
And the physical side, how do you bridge?
So what therefore happens now on the physical side, number one, we are talking about the physical goods.
Yeah.
Right? And then there's also the physical settlement of cash.
Of cash, yeah.
So on the physical goods, what's going to happen now is part of inclusive business is to actually now enable these suppliers to be able to distribute the goods which would have been bought online. Then they should now able to distribute them directly to the buyers. All right.
So direct interface.
Direct interface, that's right. And then so we are going to create that such that now a supplier is simply going to receive his order online, and then once that payment has been processed, all right, he now needs to know that, okay, this payment, in as much as it is electronic value, he can actually accept that, all right, as formal payment, because the physical cash settlement is still going to follow.
So how do you optimize on logistics?
So well, essentially everything is basically conducted through the app, all right, up to a point where by now we are saying when the physical goods get delivered, all right, we are just going to assign 1 point of delivery, all right, because remember, these 10 spouses.
Is that another Amway or Herbalife? Huh?
And then we also considering to actually employ taxi drivers and make them involved.
So you have your Uber service.
Exactly, they become the Uber service because what usually happens within the taxi industry, you notice that between the hours of maybe 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. It's usually quiet during that time.
So that's when you get the deliveries.
Exactly.
So while they're moving people, they're also moving goods.
Absolutely.
Okay, so that's
just like Uber Eats.
Yeah, Uber Eats. Okay, so that's is that the way it goes?
Yes.
And,
absolutely, but then now the cutting edge also is to actually create a platform which promotes 0% interchange fees.
Okay.
What happens in the current banking world?
What is that now?
Okay, what happens with interchange fees is actually now, given an issuer bank and an acquirer bank, if those two are different, then an issuer bank actually needs to deduct.
It's complicated.
Yeah.
So issuer, what is an issuer bank? What is an acquiring bank?
Okay.
So we need another class, which is a master class on these complicated terms. We were colonized, that's what I'm told. So you need to be soft on us. So as a lawyer, she's not very friendly. She says, no, I became a lawyer because I defied whites. But when I became a lawyer, then now I'm afraid of them. I see their ghost as a candidate attorney. And now as a qualified lawyer, now you're still afraid of whites. Okay, so please be afraid of cash because cash has no color. So we need to have this class on this acquiring and the issuing and this interchange, because anything that is for free, we become superstitious. So you need to explain.
The sunlight is free.
It's free. Guess what? We can't reach it. Otherwise, I will take it away and sell it to you. During the day, you don't need electricity to walk around. So imagine I'd control the sun. I'll keep everyone in darkness.
Monopolize.
Yeah. So we're going to have another show, I think, time permitting, just to deal with these concepts and constructs, so that we have, I think, some viewers on Zimbabwe today. And Zimbabwe today is a Zimbabwe that is looking forward. Zimbabwe today is not a Zimbabwe that is looking backward. And maybe you may want to close just this section, just to introduce the Africa you want to see. And you have already shown us that there is an Africa we don't know, which is a bank in a box. And if Africa adopted the bank in a box, that means we can have a new civilization. And that civilization may not be the same as we know it, where we keep money in the wallet, it gets stolen, because money is property. And when you have it, you have something of value. People are killed in homes because they're keeping money at home. And you are saying, let's keep money in an escrow. Let's keep money in an ecosystem embedded into a banking structure. But I can take it out and I can put it in without having the burden of spaza shops. Every time you have xenophobia, there's also cash in it. People are taking cash from stores, getting goods from stores. And at the end of the day, when money is transferred without knowledge and consent, then that's called theft. So do you have any final words? I know, is it Chipiwa? Chipiwa is a vendor name. So when the Limpopo is dry, I think she's Zimbabwean.
There's no more division.
There's no division.
Yeah, no, I think basically my parting words for today is first and foremost just to thank the viewers. All right, I think quite a number of guys as we see online, they actually joined us for this show. So unfortunately, we couldn't take any phone calls today, but obviously maybe for seconds, for a different segment altogether. So, but then now, just when it comes to the Africa I Want, is basically one whereby we are supportive of each other's initiatives. All right. I was just reading a story about one Zimbabwean guy. I'm not going to mention his name. Like, he's actually a guy, who's manufactured, his own drone. Yeah, from his backyard, he's actually even went on to manufacture an electrical car, but then he just wasn't getting as much support, in Zimbabwe, all right, until finally, one guy, I think it was a pastor from one of
Dr. Ted, from Angola.
Exactly.
Yeah.
He actually invested in him. He gave him like 500,000 seed money, and then he just said, you know what? I mean, just do whatever you can with this money, and then through that, he was able to not do more, to develop more innovations and manufacture all these cool gadgets, But then still at the same time, he was not getting any exposure or support from Africa. All right, until he finally went to the USA. One company scooped him up. All right, I think it's a company based in California, if I'm not mistaken. So now he's based there, and then finally, this guy, what he did now, this Zimbabwean guy, he basically offered, the pastor some equity in the company, So now, so I mean, just for me to say, he's actually an African brother of ours, right? And then he had to go through so much, looking for support, people promising him and, things just not materializing for him. So I think as Africans, we actually lack that form of support for one another's initiatives, all right? So as we were talking about this bank in a box, it's definitely something that can change somebody else's life, all right? I'm talking about the users, You never know, somebody in Malawi, somebody in Rwanda, all right? They can actually have their lives transformed. But it all begins with supporting one another, all right? Let's support each other, at institutional level, whether it's if we're talking about the government, we're talking about the banks, the financial industry, whatever sector that there is which is contributing to our economies. Let's support each other at every turn, all right? I think once we as Africans were able to adopt the spirit of supporting one another, we can definitely go far, as a people, all right? Black or white, all right, doesn't matter. As long as you are here in Africa and you call Africa your home, we need to support each other and move forward as Africans. I think that's the Africa which I want.
Okay.
I totally agree with you.
You have no choice.
No, I don't.
I think on that note, viewers.
Disagrees, the contract will be signed.
That's right.
Cancelled.
I think they can say. Did you draft your own contract?
No, we're still in the process.
Or you're still negotiating? Don't agonize while you're negotiating.
Yeah, I know.
Just so next time, until next time, this is the end of this segment of the show, and let's keep thinking about this brand ambassadorship and who really speaks on behalf of Africa and who should speak.
Africans.
What is an African? Then we still need to invest in that idea. Is it inclusive? Is it exclusive? If it's exclusive, what are the implications? If it's inclusive, how far can we be accommodating? And in terms of skills, in terms of talent, if you keep your fist, it means you only look to yourself. But if you open up, if Africa is open for business, this is the last frontier. And if Africa is pregnant with minerals, and then you can access those minerals, it doesn't matter whether you're black, because the minerals themselves are indifferent. Come and exploit them. But at the same time, Africa's promise is better delivered when we, the people who are the majority of Africans, define the protocol that we need. We are the largest consumers. we are the deal. Yet we consume without purpose. We spend without knowledge. So if we look at what we spend, what we control, and harness it and manage it, then you may find that actually the African problem does not reside in white conspiracy. It resides in our inability to connect our spend. And if we connect it, just imagine toothbrushes. Just imagine toothpaste that is consumed by people in Africa. If we all wanted,
Is it going to be black and cat?
that's right. Then it's called dye. The mouth is. So I think that's on the black dye. I think the good black poison is called Coca-Cola. But don't drink it and think it's coming from blackheads. So until next time.
Thank you so much.
Okay.